Stop thinking about Gladiator. Forget Russell Crowe's clean, sun-kissed chest. In reality, the first thing that hits you isn't the whip. It's the stench. Ammonia, old bile, the concentrated scent of 300 men fermenting in a wooden hull that hasn't breathed since it left Ostia back in April. It's Tuesday, probably, or June. You're chained to a bench of Levant cedar that's vibrating, actually humming, from the rhythm of a mallet hitting a block. Thump, thump. That sound is your new pulse. And look, the Romans didn't hate you. They just viewed your quadriceps as cheap, replaceable biological gears. Efficient, cold, mostly just loud. Wait, cold? No, that's too poetic. It was just math. Human-powered logistics. Let's look at the grease. Your wrist is raw. The iron shackle isn't just tight, it's a design flaw. A jagged oversight in Roman blacksmithing that's been chewing on your radius bone since the moon was up. It's June 14th, maybe. The year is 62 AD, though nobody's told you that because, frankly, your calendar reading privileges were revoked the moment the legionaries dragged you off that beach in Illyria. Now look at the space you're in. It's called the interscalmium. That's the technical term for the 2 cubits of personal hell assigned to you. About 3 feet. That's your universe. You, a wooden bench polished smooth by the skin of 1,000 previous losers, and a 15-foot ore made of mountain ash. The air? It's not air. It's a soup. It's a thick, humid slurry of exhaled carbon dioxide, evaporated sweat, and the rancid stench of adepts, pig fat. See, the Romans were obsessed with friction. Not yours, obviously. They didn't care if your palms were sliding off your own bones. They cared about the ore hole. They used tallow to grease the leather sleeves where the ore meets the wood. When the Mediterranean sun hits the deck above, that fat melts. It drips. It turns the hold into a slow-motion deep fryer where the only thing cooking is you. Wait, I should mention the pipe. Not a musical instrument, a lead pipe. If you're on a trireme, there's a guy, the hortator, and he's not there to motivate you with a "Great job, team!" speech. He's got a mallet. Clack, clack, clack. And if you miss the beat, the suboptio wanders the central gangway with a vitis, a vine wood staff. It's flexible, it's ribbed. It's specifically designed to wrap around a human rib cage and remind you that physics doesn't care about your exhaustion. The Romans weren't being evil for the sake of a movie script. They were just scaling up. You're part of a 170-man engine, a biological turbine. The logistics are beautiful in a horrifying spreadsheet kind of way. Each stroke moves roughly 200 tons of oak and bronze through the water. And you're just a spark plug made of meat. But the engine is hungry, and it's only 9 a.m. You're thirsty, but the water barrel at the end of the row is warm, green, and smells like a wet dog. Drink up. You have 18 hours to go, or forever. Whichever ends first. Probably the forever bit. Your back is already a map of red lines, and you haven't even hit the open sea. Let's talk about the geometry, because that's what this is, geometry. The Romans didn't just throw people into a boat, they engineered a human meat grinder with the precision of a Swiss watchmaker. If you're a thalamite, that's the bottom tier, the lowest of the 3 levels of a trireme, you are officially in the worst real estate in the ancient world. You're sitting below the waterline. Think about that. You are in a wooden box, vibrating with the rhythm of the waves, and you can't see a damn thing. There are no portholes, no scenic views, just the back of the guy in front of you, which is currently sweating a river of salt into your lap. And the smells. God, the smells. The bilge. That's the space at the very bottom where all the fluids go to die. Every drop of salt water that leaks through the hull, every ounce of spilled grain that's rotted into a black sludge, and everything human that leaks out of 170 men who aren't allowed to leave their benches. It collects there. It ferments. It becomes this toxic, ammonia-heavy soup that burns your nostrils. Archaeologists found some of these wrecks, and even 2,000 years later, the sediment tells a story of parasites and filth that would make a modern sewer look like a spa. You're pulling a 15-foot oar, but you aren't just using your arms. If you use your arms, you're dead by noon. You have to use your legs, your lower back, your entire core. You slide forward on the bench, scritch, and then you heave back, over and over and over. Wait, I forgot a detail. The benches aren't padded. Obviously, it's raw wood. Within 4 hours, the skin on your buttocks starts to liquefy. It's called rower's bottom. It starts as a chafe, turns into a blister, and then the blister pops and the raw flesh meets the salt-crusted wood. Every stroke is a sandpaper rub on an open wound. You'll see guys around you trying to shove bits of old rag or even seaweed under themselves. It doesn't help. Nothing helps. The wood wins. The wood always wins. Hey, if you're enjoying this dive into the absolute worst ways to spend a Tuesday, maybe hit that subscribe button. It's free, and unlike being a Roman slave, you can actually leave whenever you want. Seriously, don't be a Thalamite. Join the crew. Let's look at the numbers, because I know some of you think I'm exaggerating for the vibe. I'm not. A standard Roman trireme needed to maintain a cruising speed of about 5 to 7 knots. To do that, the engine, that's you, needs to output roughly 15 to 20 kilowatts of sustained power. In human terms, you're burning about 500 to 600 calories an hour. In a 12-hour shift, that's 7,200 calories. Do you know what the Roman naval ration was? Mostly hard bread, called bucellatum, maybe some sour wine, and some salted pork if the quartermaster wasn't a total crook. You were lucky to get 3,000 calories. You do the math. You are a battery that is being drained twice as fast as it's being charged. The Roman Empire was built on the deficit of your muscle fibers. You are literally eating yourself to keep the ship moving. Your body starts catabolizing its own protein. Your muscles start to shrink while you're using them. It's a biological paradox. And then there's the synchronization. If you hit the oar of the guy in front of you, the interscalmium mistake, it's not just embarrassing, it's a physical disaster. The oars are heavy. The momentum is massive. If your oar handle kicks back because you mistimed the stroke, it'll catch you in the chest or the jaw. It's like being hit by a slow-motion sledgehammer. I've read accounts of men having their ribs shattered or teeth knocked out because they closed their eyes for 3 seconds too long. The hortator sees it. He's the guy with the mallet. Bump, bump, bump. He's the metronome of your misery. He doesn't care if you're crying. He doesn't care if your hands are so cramped they've locked into permanent claws, which they will. It's called trigger finger, but on a scale that affects every joint in your hand. By the 10th hour, the hallucinations start. The rhythm of the water hitting the hull starts to sound like voices. You'll think you're back in Illyria. You'll think you smell your mother's cooking. But it's just the rancid pig fat melting off the leather sleeves above your hand. You'll look at the guy next to you, let's call him Marcus. He's been crying for 6 miles, and you'll realize he stopped rowing. His oar is just dragging in the water. Does the ship stop? No. The sub-optio comes down the gangway. He doesn't yell. Yelling is for movies. He just uses the Vitus. He hits Marcus across the neck until Marcus starts moving again, or until Marcus falls off the bench into the bilge. If he falls, he's dead weight. They'll unchain him, if he's lucky enough to be unchained, and toss him over the side like a bag of spoiled grain. The Romans were pragmatic. A dead slave is just a broken part. You don't fix a broken spark plug in the middle of a race. You throw it away and hope the other cylinders can handle the load.
Actually, let me correct myself. The chaining thing? That varied. Sometimes you weren't chained because they needed you to be able to bail water if the ship took a hit. But really, where are you going to go? You're in the middle of the Ionian Sea. You're exhausted, starving, and you can't swim. The ocean is just a bigger, bluer grave. Is it 2 p.m. yet? No, it's 11:15 a.m. The sun is directly overhead now. The deck above you is heating up. The wood starts to groan. The humidity in the hold hits 95%. You are breathing in the steam of 169 other men's desperation. You start to pray for a storm. Not because you want to live, but because if the ship sinks, the rowing finally stops. That's the psychological breaking point. When the idea of drowning in a dark, cold sea feels like a promotion compared to taking one more stroke. And you still have 13 hours until the first rest period. But don't get excited. Rest just means sitting on that same bloody bench, eating a piece of rock-hard bread that tastes like sawdust and grit, while you wait for the mallet to start again. Bump, bump, bump. Welcome to the fleet. You're making history, one blister at a time. The mallet changes. It's not bump, bump anymore. It's a frantic, jagged staccato. Bump, 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 bump. The hortator is screaming now. His face is purple, veins popping like overcooked sausages. You don't know why. You can't see outside. That's the worst part of the engineering. You're the engine, but you have no windshield. You're just a piston in a dark, humid box. Something hits. Not a wave, a thud. Solid. Oak on oak. The whole ship shudders. The guy in front of you, the one who's been coughing up gray phlegm for 3 hours, is suddenly pinned. His oar handle, that massive beam of ash wood, snaps back. It hits his chest with the sound of a dry branch breaking. Crack! He's gone. Just like that. His lungs are flat. He doesn't even scream. He just whistles, a long, thin whistle as the air leaves him for the last time. You want to stop. You have to stop. But the Vitus is back. It's a frenzy. The sub-optio is running down the gangway, lashing out at anything that moves too slow. Because if you stop, the ship loses its pivot. If it loses the pivot, the enemy ram, a massive 3-pronged bronze beak, tears into the hull. Wait, I forgot the smell. Not the sweat, not the feces. Ozone and salt. The water is coming in. It's not a flood. It's a spray at first. Cold, piercing. It hits your hot, blistered back, and for a split second it feels like heaven. Then you realize the water is at your ankles.
It's mixing with the bilge. It's black. It's oily. It's rising. The drum is faster, faster. You're pulling until your tendons feel like they're made of glass about to shatter. Your vision is narrowing, just a pinhole of light. You aren't a man. You're a gear with a heart rate of 190. "Back water!" they scream. "Back water!" You have to reverse the motion. The skin on your palm stays on the wood as you shift your grip. It literally peels off like a grape. You don't feel it. Adrenaline is a hell of a drug, but Rome was the ultimate dealer. Then the tilt. The ship leans 30 degrees. The guys on the port side are screaming because they're underwater. The guys on your side, the starboard, are staring at the ceiling. You're dangling by your chains. Is this it?
The wood is screaming louder than the men.
Screech!
The bronze ram of the enemy is grinding against the Roman oak. It sounds like a giant's teeth. And then, quiet. Not a peaceful quiet. A heavy, wet silence. The drum stops. The hortator drops his mallets. You're gasping for air that's 40% carbon dioxide. Did we win? Did we lose? It doesn't matter. The water is at your knees now, and the hatch is locked. Logistics. The Romans didn't want the engine escaping while the ship was sinking. It ruins the weight distribution. You look at Marcus. He's staring at the water rising. He's smiling. The crazy bastard is actually smiling. He's getting his promotion. The water is freezing now, chest high. It tastes of brine and old rot. Marcus is gone, just a bubble in the dark. We like to talk about Rome's glory. The aqueducts, the law, the Pax Romana. But that peace? It was bought, every bit of it. Paid for with the cartilage in your knees and the skin left behind on a piece of Roman oak. History is a machine, a hungry one. It runs on souls, and we were just the oil. Hear that? The drum. It's not the hortator anymore. It's just your pulse. Thump, 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 until the silence takes over. Subscribe if you want to keep digging through the trash heap of the past with me. Or don't. The tide's coming in anyway.